You want to start testing a product. The ads are ready, the store is created, the setup on Facebook is done, everything is ready. The last thing you have to do is think about the pricing. You basically have to think, how should I price my product? So my question to you is, how do you actually do it? Do you just select a random number? Do you copy it from the competitors? Do you just 3x the product cost? Or you basically price it like Amazon would do it, and you just check on Amazon and see how they're pricing it and you model it of them. So there's no right and wrong. However, I have my specific approach. And in this video, I'm going to explain to you how I price my product and how I actually go about the process of selecting the specific number which I start with and what I test after that. Let me start off by telling you a quick story about a friend of mine who basically was selling jewelry. And his jewelry store did not so well. However, when he started pricing the products way higher than before, it started to do way better. And that was a really interesting phenomenon. Basically, he actually sold more units for a higher price than for a lower price. Which first seems contradicting because obviously cheaper things would theoretically be easier to sell, right? However, in this specific case, the jewelry was perceived way higher in value. And this was actually the reason why the product did so well. Because in the beginning, everything looked good. The store looked clean, the ads were really good. However, because the price was so cheap, it seemed like the product itself is bad. And just by him making the price higher, changed the perceived value, which was the game changer for him. However, I would not recommend doing this for everybody. Basically, charging way too high in the beginning is also not the way to go when it comes to everything except jewelry. In jewelry, maybe yes, on the other niches, probably not. Let me first explain to you how I price my products and also how you should price your products as a beginner and how you should select the products based on the price. So as a beginner, I would only select a product which has a couple of things in place. Number one, your competition is not branded. That's really important because you don't want to compete with brands, and rather you would compete with dropshippers. It's just way easier. Number two is the price of the non-branded competitor store has to be at least 3 times the margin when it comes to the product price. So for example, if you see you can buy the product for $10, the competitor has to sell it for at least $30 to make it interesting to you. And that's also really important when you select the product, because just by selecting the wrong product, you're already kind of shooting yourself in the foot when it comes to the later parts of scaling when the margin is going to be thinner. So it's really important to keep that in place. And then when actually all of that is the case, then I would price my product exactly like the competitor did. You basically have a person who most likely tested some prices already and came to the conclusion that this one is the best. However, you cannot be sure in that. You know that it works for him at that price, but you were not 100% sure if he actually tested different prices before that. So I would start with his price and then I would move around and test different prices at the same time. How I would do it is I would basically create a couple of new product pages, new campaigns, link those new campaigns to the product pages, and then sell the product for a higher price. So on the new product page, if you would sell the product before for 30, now you sell it for 35. Then the next campaign is going to be 24.99, the other one is going to be 49, the other one is going to be 39. You basically test out $5 steps. So 30, 35, 40, obviously like 39.99, but just to make it easier. That's important to do in the beginning and you just jump around the prices. However, then when you find the best one, I would keep split testing a bunch of things. I would, number one, test dollars. So if you have $34.99, I would test $33.99 and $35.99. And then all those dollars are going to actually accumulate and make a difference in the long term. And it's really important to scale on the perfect price, because if you never tested out the other prices, you might be losing out on margin or losing out on conversion rate because you just didn't test it. So that's really important. Also, if you decide for whatever reason to sell a product which doesn't have proper competitors or the competitors are super old, then I would tend to go on the lower side. So for example, if you could sell that product for $50 or $30, I would rather choose $30 because you want to get data first and then later you split test the higher prices. First, you need to get the proven concept for the product and you need to make sure that the product itself is sold, and then later on you can work on the margin and test other prices which are higher. So I would always start with lower, get the data, and then move up. Also, what I would do is I would split test a bunch of upsells at the same time. So when I start out low ticket, I would do a lot of things right to make the average order value still good. because you need to have bundles, you need to have upsell, pre-purchase, post-purchase, and basically you need to have a couple of things at the same time to make sure that the average order value still stays good, even though you chose to have a lower price. So I hope now you know how to price your product, and if you are interested in working with me personally, click the link below. You're gonna have a free consultation session with me personally. We're gonna have a one-on-one call, and we're gonna see if everything is actually a good fit for both of us. So yeah, that's it. Subscribe to the channel, leave a like, and see you in the next video. Take care.